Welcome to the next episode of Tank's Plastic Paradise Garage, or TPPG. Now that we've finished the Zaku 2, we're going to put him aside and start on some of the pieces for the diorama that it's going to go into. Um, I kind of have a general idea of how I would like to do this diorama. And with Joann's going out of business, they were having a sale on some of their pieces there. So I picked up these plastic trees, palm trees, and I thought, okay, they don't look great. I mean, they look like palm trees, but they look plastic. So I figured I would try to spruce them up a little bit. So there's three of these, and then there's three of these in the kit. And so I did a little testing and working, and I actually came up with this tree here with it being painted and highlighted and everything. I think I could do a little bit more maybe, but if you look at it compared to the original, it's got definitely some different highlights to it. Like it has some dead pieces or pieces that are getting old. It's got some different colors, some highlights in different greens. And so that's what I'm shooting for, is this right here. I've already done this to half of the trees, and so I have half of the other ones to finish. And I just kind of want to show you the process that I went about to get that look there. Now, first thing I did is I went ahead and uh, covered the stumps in the um, primer that I've been using, this Micro Mark Gray Acrylic Airbrush Primer. I've been using it with brushes. It seems to work just fine. So what I'm going to be doing is covering the trunks of these. Um, and I tested on one that I was working on. This is the same brown paint I used on the completed ones, but I primered these and didn't primer these. I think it comes out a lot darker with the primer first. So I figured no, primering it and then painting it was definitely a uh, a definite bonus for the paint to adhere to and to look much better. So I'm actually going to paint over this with primer, and as you can see, I already did I already did the highlighting on it to make it look more realistic. But I'm not pleased with how the paint went on the plastic by itself for the trunk, and you could already see some of the paint already came off of this area here. So on this, basically, I'm just going to use this. I'm not going, this primer, I'm not going to dilute it or anything. It's just going to be full strength, pretty simple, just paint uh, the trunks. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing for this part. And the next part, after that dries, then I'll show you how I got the highlights and the palm fronds to look more realistic. All right, so basically I'm just using the primer right out of the bottle and just painting these trunks with this gray primer. I mean, it says it's gray, but I mean, it looks kind of beige actually. I mean, more than a gray to me. But, hey, that's their product. They can call it whatever they want. It works well, you know. Um, just one little coat like this, and it's ready to go. I'm just gonna let it stand there and let it dry. And this gives the paint something to adhere to. It gives it a better finish when I put the brown on there. And I guess, can't go wrong with the primer. And going on bare plastic. Uh, as you notice, I do not primer the green leaves because um, I actually do want that kind of shininess to it, even though I am going to be putting a matte. So there's going to be different types of uh, you know textures and shines or dullness to the palm fronds, trying to give it that random type texture that is in nature. And there we go. So basically, I have to do the trunk on this one. This one's pretty much done, and I'll show you how I went about doing that look on that. And then hopefully they will all end up looking like this here. Now, my lovely wife came up with an idea of, nature is so random that she took some of the palm fronds on this one here and turned some upside down, and then turned them around. So it kind of looks cool. I mean, I like the randomness of it, and it gives it a little bit of difference when you put it right next to this one. They don't look exactly the same. But the problem about that is when she took them off and we started putting them on, this is almost ready to break right here. So the disassembly and the reassembly was kind of rough on it, and I don't know if I'm actually going to have to repair that. If I do, I'm probably going to uh, have to stick a piece of hot metal into the middle of this, and then maybe put a pin and then paint the pin, or maybe use a toothpick and slide it back on there. I don't know, but this is very, like, it's hanging on by a thread, whereas if I didn't mess with it, they're pretty solid. So I don't think I like the way this looked, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that to the rest of these, because I don't want to break them. One thing also that was kind of nice about doing that, she took this one section off, and I am going to actually cut these off, paint them like I did here, and but I'm going to paint these like they're dead, and these will be hanging down like they're about to fall off, like you see on palm trees. So that's the first part of this episode, and next, after this dries, I'll show you how I did the trunks and I did the palm fronds. All right. So that's it for right now. Okay, as you can see here, the three trunks that were uh, primered are now dry, and I am using dark brown. It is actually, the color is called Coffee Bean, and it's in a matte finish, and I used a little bit of a matte black to get the brown darker. And I guess I didn't like that too dark, so I added a little bit more brown to it. Simple process, just laying the brown all along the trunk just to get it one solid color. Highlights will be done later after the trunk dries to give it a little bit more depth. Just making sure I'm getting full coverage with this brown. Okay, so now you see the initial light green in there, which is called Pentura, and added a little bit of this dark green, which is called Arbor Green. And these are all different brands of acrylics that I'm using. Nothing really super expensive. Mostly just stuff that's on sale or just cheap. I'm using Folk Art. I'm using Apple Barrel. And I think that's, and I'm using Americana. Yeah, that's pretty much, and no, that's Folk Art as well. And there's a Craft Essentials in here too. So it's all kinds of different brands of acrylic. Most of them are matte finish. I have a few that aren't, just to give a little bit of different depth in mixing when I do the colors. Now I use that green, and you can see where I highlighted the palm fronds in different shades, so it gives it a little bit of more natural look to it. Not everything's a solid green. And now, as you can see, I'm using that brown and doing the spines on the palm fronds, because the center, you know, just give it that darker look, so it doesn't all just blend into being green. It gives it some definition. And also got to do the underside off camera for some reason. I don't know why. You'll see it a little bit better. Well, it's still off camera, but I'm hitting the underside too to match the tops, and hitting the spines on this one as well. It's a little bit tricky, you know, using this real thin brush and trying not to get too much paint, but getting enough so I can at least get one palm frond done at a time. You know, you got to use your fingers to move things out of the way so you can bend them down, get that paint in there. And if you make a mistake, you know, it is just water-based acrylic that I'm using, so just get a wet brush and, you know, wipe it off and start over. It's not a big deal. So here you can see I'm actually doing the undersides now. Trying to take my time. Oh, messed that up real bad right there, so that's why it went off camera, and I had to wipe that up and then redo it. Now I'm mixing a yellow with some brown, that coffee bean, and this yellow is a folk art yellow. It's actually an acrylic, it's a moon yellow. What is this? Yeah, it's a satin finish on this one. And mixing it with the brown and a little bit of the green, and it kind of gives you that real dried look to the palm fronds. So I'm just kind of hitting here and there, just highlighting it. And of course I'm painting these fully that dried palm frond color, because these are going to get hung off the trees individually as dead palm fronds. Okay, I've got my matte black finish here, the pure black, and I'm kind of dry. I am dry brushing here, trying to get a very light amount of paint on there, just to give a little bit of depth to the rings on the tree trunks, instead of also it looking pure brown. You know, it gives it a little bit of shading, makes it look more natural. Can't really tell from this camera angle. I'm gonna have to work on my lighting here, or maybe, you know, get some better pictures of them eventually, because you really can't tell. It just looks dark in the video, unfortunately. But that's pretty much it. And if you got any ideas or comments, please feel free to hit me up in the comments. If you like the content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. And this is pretty much it for the palm trees.